This is CBC Here and Now.
What does it take to control all this gear? Well, that's what people came to find out at an RCMP event.
Hopefully I'll be up there soon.
More on that on Here and Now.
Canada are the 2022 Davis Cup World Champions.
After more than 100 years of competing, Team Canada won this trophy, the Davis Cup. So Tennis Canada is touring it across the country. I'm Jeremy Eaton, I'll have that story coming up.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. Well, as the crab fishery dispute drags on, fish plant workers say they're caught in the middle. In St. Mary's, about 100 temporary foreign workers from Mexico are ready and waiting to start processing crab, and so are the locals. Here and Now's Heather Gillis reports from the community.
There's exhaust coming from the St. Mary's Bay fish plant. Signs of life outside, too. But inside, no crab to process, as a weeks-long dispute between harvesters and processors continue.
Just hoping to be able to go to work.
For plant workers like Shelley Tobin, it means biding time.
What does this dispute mean to you?
A waiting game. I mean, normally the plant would have been open in April, and here it is going up to the end of May and still nothing. So I'm caught behind a rock and a hard place, wondering if I should pack up and go back to town for work, or hopefully that things will straighten themselves out.
Last year, the town celebrated with a motorcade as the plant was granted a license to process crab and fish. Tobin says it was good news for her. With work at home, she wouldn't have to make the hour-and-a-half journey back and forth to St. John's. But now, there's only uncertainty.
The construction season has started, not full speed or anything, but it has started. So, I mean, if things don't turn out the way we're hoping, I mean, getting a job out there is not going to be as easy.
Meanwhile, there are about 100 temporary foreign workers from Mexico in St. Mary's and the surrounding area. And like Shelley Tobin, they're caught in the middle of this crab dispute, waiting to get to work at the processing plant.
Some Mexican workers are staying just over this hill. Their employer won't let them talk on camera with CBC News about how the dispute is affecting them. But one worker told us she's happy to see the Mexican flag flying over the gas station, store, and park in St. Mary's because it makes her feel welcome and at home. St. Mary's Mayor Stephen Ryan says they're eager to get to work.
And for them, it's even more devastating because they came with, just a little amount of money. Just think about your upheaval and go to another country trying to make some money. Most of them, their interest is sending money home to their families, and they're not getting to go to work. So the goal was to bring them in on one day and have them working within 24 to 48 hours.
And while they've been waiting, Ryan says workers have been trying to give back and do a community cleanup. Still, Ryan was hoping the fish plant opening would be a big economic driver for the town of about 300. Instead, he says the crab fishery dispute is a black cloud.
It's disheartening, very, very disheartening, because everything's ready to go. We put a lot of time and energy into this, especially myself and most of my councillors.
But even if a deal is reached, Shelley Tobin worries it might be too late to salvage the season. Heather Gillis, CBC News, St. Mary's.
And another blow-up today in the troubled fishing industry. Fishermen aren't just angry with processors, they're also angry with their union. And that anger erupted into protests today as a growing number of boats are heading onto the crab grounds. Once again, Terry Roberts was there.
Well, I don't know what's on the go, but they're all hiding again.
6 weeks into a shutdown in the annual crab harvest, and still no sign of a solution. In fact, the embattled Fisheries Union is facing a growing storm of dissent.
They're the biggest bunch of cowards you ever see in your life. They won't come and tell us what's going on.
More than 100 crab harvesters, many traveling long distances, assembled outside the union offices at noon. They came looking for direction. Should they go fishing? Should they keep protesting? What happens when boats start landing crab in defiance of the weeks-long tie-up?
Everybody, let's go, boys. This is it today. This is it. Let's go.
But the union building was empty. President Greg Priddy not taking calls from the media. So the protest moved here, the provincial fisheries building.
Don't you think you should be here speaking with the fishermen?
This harvester managed to get the minister on the phone, but Derek Bragg was in his district. 4 hours away.
If you're going to berate me, I'm going to hang up.
For more than 30 minutes, Bragg engaged with the protesters.
We were within 5 cents at one point of making a deal, but nobody wouldn't come beyond that. I don't know what else you can expect from us.
I don't think if there's too many people wants to listen to you today.
More talk and shit talk don't go anywhere. Actions go somewhere. Actions go somewhere. Tomorrow morning, boys. Tomorrow morning, urgentia, bird off.
No satisfaction, so an impromptu plan to block access to the port of Argentia, where a massive oil production project is under construction. While they were protesting, scenes like this at St. John's Harbour, boats getting ready to fish. Word that plant workers are being recalled to their jobs. And more scenes like this, larger boats untying and heading to the crab grounds. Signs that harvesters are deeply divided. The union has urged harvesters to stay ashore, firm in their stance that the $2.20 catch price is too low. But processors have refused to go higher, have started issuing bait and ice for boats that want to go fishing. With the first boatloads of crab possibly coming ashore by this weekend, will there be a confrontation? This outspoken fisherman says he wants direction from the union on that, but says he's lost all confidence in the FFAW leadership.
They certainly outfoxed the FFAW again, and we're left to pay the price.
So another day of tension and uncertainty, with some harvesters saying their situation is desperate, whether they stay ashore or go fishing. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
And harvesters did follow through on their threat to blockade the port in Argentia. Late this afternoon, protesters were allowing people to leave the site, but weren't allowing workers to go in. Now, that port is where 1,400 workers are building the White Rose oil expansion project.
Well, at points today, the weather didn't know what to do. We saw some grapple out there, lots of showers around, sunshine, and some cooler temperatures, though, through a good chunk of the afternoon today. We see those showers moving through, heading east. They should end over the next couple of hours, but we still have lots of cloud cover up across Labrador today, and lots of cooler air as well, dropping those temperatures pretty much across the board this afternoon, hovering into the single digits, just barely. In some cases, 4 degrees in Nain today, and temperatures across Labrador were somewhere, or across the island rather, were somewhere between 6 and about 10 degrees. But the temperature in St. John's was actually overnight last night. Most of the day we have been sitting in and around 3 to about 8 degrees. You note the winds. Wherever the winds were north, the cooler temperature, or when the winds were north, I should say, some cooler temperatures turn westerly and those temperatures jump up. So as we head through the next couple of days, the good news, we've got much milder temperatures as we lock in a southerly flow through the weekend. Temperatures likely into the high teens. Some of us may even crack the 20-degree mark. We'll talk about that coming up.
Great. Thanks so much, Ashley. Well, another protest to tell you about. Hundreds of people attended a protest outside Frank Roberts Junior High School in Foxtrap this morning. They say the Conception Bay South School is not safe for students and staff, and they're calling on the province to address it. Here now's Mark Quinn reports.
We want to bring awareness to the state of the school. The deplorable conditions are outrageous.
Janine Murphy has a child at Frank Roberts Junior High. She also helped organize today's protest. Murphy and other parents say the school is infested with rodents and it leaks. They're also worried it may have a mold problem, which they say is making students sick.
For Minister Haggie and Terry Hall to say that this school is safe is appalling.
But that's not the way the school district sees it. This afternoon, its interim superintendent repeated what he told CBC last week.
Look, again, we wouldn't put students and staff in a school that we thought was unsafe. They're raising a lot of concerns. A lot of these concerns are just part of our maintenance program. We treat that school the same as we treat all of our schools. If there's an issue raised, our maintenance team is in there and they'll fix anything specific.
Obviously, I come out to support the parents and
the school is in Progressive Conservative MHA Barry Petton's district.
Something that I've called for the last year and a half, replacement, remediation of this school, because these concerns, overcrowding, there's no cafeteria in the school, you got air quality issues and mold issues, and it's falling on deaf ears. Government are not listening.
These walkthroughs and inspections are not good enough.
Parents are calling on the province to build a new school. The NDP's leader, a former teacher, was also at the protest.
This is an education issue. I'm here to support the parents, support the MHA for the area as well, and demanding better conditions for the students and the teachers and the staff in this building.
Parents say they'll keep pushing until they're confident their children have a safe, healthy place to learn. Mark Quinn, CBC News, Foxtrot.
Well, right across Canada, Mounties have been trying to bolster their ranks to offset a drop in the number of new RCMP recruits. An event was held in St. John's to pique people's interest and point them towards a career in policing. Here now's Henrika Wilhelm has that story.
Taking aim at a police career, that's what this group came to do.
Pretty cool experience. It's great to see this being put off for all of us young kids trying to get into the career. Since I've been a kid, I've always liked to help people get through their troubles, things like that. So it's always been a dream of mine since a young age to be a police officer.
I like going up to people and seeing their troubles. I like seeing how I can help them and make them better, and myself, at the end of the day, it's going to make me feel better.
And they're direly needed. With 30 vacancies provincially, Newfoundland and Labrador doesn't meet the national benchmark. And with 169 officers for every 100,000 people, it's the third lowest police ratio in the country.
Right now we have a vacancy, and we're hoping to run events like this to get interest in, to get the people that can fill the uniforms for us.
Another measure announced in February, allowing recruits to remain in the province rather than move around the country.
I think it's wonderful because they want people to come back to Newfoundland, and everyone's like, I want to go explore. But then coming back here, back home usually is where people wants to go.
And efforts to modernize the force with emphasis on mental health and diversity.
Everybody's welcome. We serve over 2,200 different communities across the country, and the more diversity, the more people we have to represent the different community people we have, the better organization we're going to be.
For the first RCMP recruitment event, interest was high.
We put this out to social media early in April, and I think within a week we had, our target group of around 45 or 50. I've had as many or more that I couldn't accommodate just for sheer number.
Visitors got a taste of the K9 unit, underwater recovery, or traffic services. The recruitment sessions are one strategy by the RCMP to fill its vacancies, with more to come in the future. Henrika Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the price of most fuels took a jump overnight. Gas is up 2.1 cents a litre, making it $1.64.5 on the Avalon. Diesel is up almost 1.5 cents, and furnace oil is up just over 1 cent. Well, folk music fans have an extra reason to be excited next year. The Canadian Folk Music Awards will be hosted in St. John's. Now, the last time the awards were held here was 15 years ago. The announcement was made at the Ship Pub this afternoon with a bit of music, of course. The event will also include a week-long celebration of folk music. The province has already declared next year the Year of the Arts.
So the 50th anniversary of Folk Night at the Ship is actually next year. So having the award show in the city at the same time in the same year is just going to make the folk art scene totally bumping next year.
Well, it's considered the most treasured trophy in professional tennis, the Davis Cup. Following a dry spell of 109 years, Team Canada's men's team finally won the title at the end of 2022. Well, Tennis Canada wanted to show off this special and massive piece of hardware to the entire country, and today it made a stop in this province. Our Jeremy Eaton was there.
This is the Davis Cup of tennis, and that is a world-renowned tennis trophy. In fact, it is the Stanley Cup of tennis is what it is. It's gigantic. It's 235 pounds, and we, as Canadians, won this tournament. The men's tennis team won this tournament last November in Spain, the first time in 109 years competing for this trophy. So it is absolutely phenomenal. We are so proud and so delighted to be able to host it here in St. John's.
Canada are the 2022 Davis Cup World Champions.
Just trying to see the Davis Cup. It's very special because
it's like I said, it's a really good thing, especially because Canada won it.
Do you have a favorite tennis player in Canada? Somebody that you look up to?
Dennis Chappell and Felix.
Why do you like him so much?
Because they whip their butt off and work hard.
Do you work hard all the time?
Yeah.
That is a big deal to get that here, to be honest. Actually, that comes in pieces, and it actually goes in a trailer across the country, and it actually had to go on the ferry. They had to put security down with it while it was down in the bottom of the ferry, so they're actually looking at it through security cameras. So it comes with a high security detail. It is trucked across the country, and it's a pretty big deal. So to have it here, it's really special.
Well, I talked about the Billie Jean Cup, and I talked about how I hope they win, and because it'd be like very inspiring for young female tennis players, because you can achieve great things with lots of hard work, dedication, and passion.
I've been playing a long time, and throughout my lifetime, I didn't get to see a whole lot of champion tennis players from Canada. So to have now a whole field of players that can compete on an international stage, win Grand Slams, win Davis Cups, I mean, it's so exciting and it's so inspiring for the younger generation to see what they can do. And we've got some wonderful tennis players here in Newfoundland who are achieving great things. So it just makes people want to pick up a tennis racket all the more.
I am hoping to make it to the 2025 Canada Games.
Oh, how exciting would that be to get to play tennis here?
I'd be very, very excited because it's very important.
Well, take a look at this. Video producer Dan Arsenault captured this drone footage off the coast of Lassie. Just look at the size of those icebergs. Gorgeous.
Yeah, and there is a whole lot of nice weather for iceberg hunting this long weekend. I'll tell you what to expect when I come back.
Tuesday on Here and Now. For a century, the International Ice Patrol has been spotting icebergs from above to keep ships safe below. But now this historic flight may soon be grounded.
We're towards the end of the era of the aviation mission.
For members of the Ice Patrol crew, there's a feeling in the air. This is the last dance. That story Tuesday on Here and Now.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. The absolute final deadline is midnight Friday, June 2nd. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Before we get to the weather, just have a look at this. Mike Miller captured this video and sent it along to us a little over an hour ago. It's on Route 480. That's less than a kilometer south of the Burgeo Highway. So a fire happening there. Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing that with us, and we'll continue to monitor the situation and bring you more information as it becomes available. Okay, well, let's have a look at the forecast. Some nice weather as we're heading into the long weekend.
Yes, I know some of you woke up to snow today,
Oh,
which is
really?
well, it's very typical, I guess, of this time of year. But don't worry, that's pretty much done for the most part, which is nice. Let's take a look at what's going on out there. So we do have some showers working their way across the island as we speak, but if I zoom out a little bit, you can see there is not a whole lot in behind that. That's because there's a ridge of high pressure that is going to move in, bring some milder temperatures, and keep the weather fairly quiet over the next couple of days for our neck of the woods, which is quite nice. However, we've got a dip in the jet stream. That is bringing some of the cooler air that we're seeing today, only reaching the single digits, 4 to about 8 degrees across Labrador. And not much better than that across the island as well. So temperatures, although we're around 10 degrees overnight last night in St. John's, the temperatures have been sitting somewhere between 5 and 7 and 8 degrees today, for most of the day anyway, for the metro area. Right now, sitting at 8 degrees, beautiful blue sky out there. I know we saw some showers earlier today. Those winds are out of the northwest at the moment, gusting around 40 kilometers per hour, and that's where we should sit through most of the night tonight. You can see those temperatures dipping in some areas. 3 degrees in Bonavista right now, 8 in Deer Lake, and temperatures still between 3 and 7 across Labrador. So just taking a look at what's going on weather-wise, zooming in a little bit, you can see some showers working their way further east, some of them showing them a bit heavy, likely because of some graupel, maybe even some small hail. I know there was a lightning strike a little bit earlier today down along the south coast of the island. That should be over for the most part. If we actually take a look at the future tracker within the next couple of hours, those should move offshore, leaving us with some clear skies as we head through the overnight tonight. Northern Peninsula, southeastern Labrador, you're still going to stay in that cloud cover, and we can't rule out the risk of some flurries again overnight tonight. I know there were some flurries up across parts of up across Nain and northern Labrador through the night last night, but we're looking at those skies generally clearing as we head into the early morning hours tomorrow for those of you along coastal areas of Labrador. But Lab City, you are still going to stay in some of that cloud cover. Temperatures tonight should stay above zero for the most part, 1, 2, 3 degrees for most of us. The hot spot overnight tonight will be in Port aux Basques and Happy Valley Goose Bay, where you'll hover around 4 degrees, and the cold spot will be in Lab City around -1. Now, winds generally out of the southwest between 20 to 30, maybe even 40 kilometers per hour. But as we head through tomorrow, we are going to see some more windy conditions move in pretty much across the board. Also some unsettled conditions for Lab West, chances some flurries in the morning and then changing to the potential for some showers as we head through the afternoon. But other than that, it's actually setting the stage for a pretty beautiful Friday across the island, and then some cloud cover will move in, as will the showers towards central and northern portions of Labrador as the day goes on. And your clouds will be on the increase as well for southeastern portions of Labrador. But for the most part, it will be a bluebird sky across the island. And then that will continue as we head into the overnight period as well. Those showers will continue to work their way further east, but we are locked in this southerly flow, which means we've got some mild temperatures to talk about as well, especially through the day tomorrow. Now we should be seeing daytime highs somewhere between 14 and 15 degrees for most of us. Now the winds are out of the southwest. That means areas in onshore flow will likely see those temperatures a bit cooler than that. So only hovering around 8 degrees for places like Placentia and Fairland. But again, the winds out of the southwest, 30 to as much as 50 kilometers per hour. Now through central, these will be a bit more brisk, between 40, maybe even 60 kilometers per hour. But yes, temperatures in the teens, lots of sunshine. Harbor Breton, you'll hover around 9. And as we head towards the west coast, those temperatures will be fairly similar. Your winds, like I said, gusting around 50, even 60 kilometers per hour, still again out of the southwest. Now for the northern peninsula, your temperatures very much in the teens, but again, those areas in onshore flow, you are going to see temperatures into the single digits. Up across Labrador, for the most part, your temperatures should be into the teens for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, but they will cool down as the day goes on, and around 7 and 8 degrees for the rest of the Big Land. But your temperatures, or your winds rather, will be again between 30 and 50. So it will be breezy. This is the start of a breezy weekend. Unfortunately, it will come with lots of sunshine for some areas. Temperatures really warming up across the Big Land as well towards the end of the weekend. I'll get into all of that coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, all week we've been telling you about the impact of the tie-up in the crab industry, but it's not just the plant workers or the fishermen affected, but industries that support them as well. Here Now's Terry Roberts spoke with a fabrication company about what it means for business.
1994 to 2005, we built 40 boats.
You built 40 of these?
We built 40 boats over the year, yeah. We've been there 7 years now, and 7 years ago, we really didn't know where this was going to go to. But every year it's been up, up, up. And obviously the last couple of years, you know, with crab prices at $7.40 a pound last year, you know, everybody had a bumper year, and we did too. Last year this time we had, I'd say to this point, we probably had 5 or 6 decent jobs in the books. This year we got 1 job. You know, I look at it from every side. I've been involved in the fishery for the last 30 years, seen the ups and downs, and you know, right now we're on a downswing, and we were slated to build a new boat. The guy put it on hold, you know, interest rates, uncertainty in the crab. So, you know, that boat, you know, was obviously put on hold. You know, it's a Haiti by 28, which was a pretty good sized vessel. You know, it's you know, $7 or $8 million vessel. And that thing is on hold. But, you know, again, I still anticipate we're going to have a decent year. And still a little bit of positivity there, you know, with guys looking at getting work done. And I guess the type of person that I am, I try to put a positive spin on as much as what I can, you know. I see both sides of it. I see it from the fisherman's side. I see it from the processor's side. And again, I just hope, you know, that there is a resolution soon. If the provincial government or the federal government could actually subsidise a little bit of this, even if it was 25 cents a pound, it would actually put a little bit of a positive spin onto it, and make people, you know, probably want to, you know, get out there and get at it. And you know, I know there's a lot of talk about, you know, the processors, you know, hopefully, you know, if they get a better market, you know, as the crab comes in, and you know, that you know, the prices go up, you know, there could be a little bit of kickback there. I hope it do work. I've seen the plant being built here 40 years ago, and just to drive out there last night, you know, in May month, and nothing happening with the plant, and one lonely vehicle parked in the driveway, it don't seem right.
It's incredibly risky behavior. It's interfering with a commercial product, which is illegal.
You know something? I think I'd rather lose a leg than lose my sight, because my sight's everything.
Well, just ahead, a special CBC investigation reveals how costly eye drugs were tampered with and then distributed here in this province. Well, a pharmacist is sounding the alarm on the tampering of an eye medication that's happening without patients' knowledge. It's for medication used to treat age-related macular degeneration, a condition that affects about 2.5 million Canadians. As Chris O'Neill-Yates tells us in this feature report, the misuse of this drug may be putting patients at risk.
They've been called magic drugs for aging eyes. What's the drug meant to your life?
A lot, because I can see.
Helping millions keep their vision with just a small poke.
Don't move, you'll feel a little pinch.
The drugs are supposed to come in sealed vials, directly from the maker. But packages like this have been showing up across the country, setting off alarm bells.
It's incredibly risky behavior. It's interfering with a commercial product, which is illegal.
Living on Newfoundland's coastline is something Marguerite McCarthy doesn't take for granted. Much more precious since she developed a condition called wet macular degeneration that could take away vistas like this for good.
Like, I'm looking at you straight on here now, and you're a bit blurry, but if I do this, you're clear.
McCarthy relies on injections of drugs in her eyes every 4 to 6 weeks. Her only hope to prevent losing her sight.
What's there to live for, really? That's the way I feel. Like, I used to always say, I can't imagine if I lost a leg, but you know something? I think I'd rather lose a leg than lose my sight, because my sight is everything.
Wet age-related macular degeneration is a condition where new blood vessels in the back of the eye leak or bleed into the center of the retina, resulting in poor vision. There is no cure. But Lucentis and Eylea are two injectables, seen as miracle drugs, proven to help slow down the condition. These drugs come in sealed vials from the drug company. With a price tag of about $2,000, they are some of the most expensive drugs in the country. The ophthalmologist draws up a tiny drop in a syringe and injects it into the eyeball. It is to be used one time only on one patient per eye.
It was just glaring.
Ken Dix is a pharmacist in Newfoundland with over 30 years of experience. He helped write the federal government's policy on how to handle and dispense various drugs.
Just close your eye for me. Thank you.
He had a hunch after looking into how many injections were being done on patients in the province. The numbers just didn't add up. There were too many procedures and not enough product.
It's a 1-to-1 ratio because you need an injection to do the procedure. So it was easy enough to research how many procedures are being done. And then the question became, where are the products to match those procedures?
The only explanation, he says, was the vials were being tampered with and split. All vials contain overfill, an extra amount to make sure the right dose can be drawn. The drug manufacturers say any leftover is supposed to be discarded. But it's entirely possible to draw the overfill and create more doses.
I'm not in favor of that. I don't dose split personally.
Dr. Alan Crues is an ophthalmologist in Halifax. He performs these procedures daily and says dose split products can be dangerous.
Anytime you're drawing from a vial more than once, there are theoretical microbiological risks involved. Well, bacteria being introduced, into the compound and then creating inflammation or infection.
We have no idea if these products work. We have no idea now because the product integrity has been breached.
Documents from 2015 that Dix obtained under access to information backed his suspicions. Citing an aging population and surging demand for these drugs, the provincial government was in search of a cost-cutting deal. A pharmacy in Ontario offered to divide manufacturers' vials of the drugs and ship pre-filled syringes to Newfoundland and Labrador. Then a smoking gun.
There were no other markings, no gradients, nothing else on the syringe whatsoever.
Keith Morgan is Dix's lawyer who specializes in pharmaceutical law. A package of Eylea they got their hands on looked nothing like the real thing. It came in a tinted bag with a new expiry date and no brand name label. Morgan and Dix contacted Health Canada to come take the package and test it.
They reviewed it, found that it was sterile, and destroyed the sample, destroyed the product that we had provided to them.
What did you make of that?
I was flabbergasted that, this was evidence of a in my view, it was a regulatory offense. And they took it and they destroyed it.
CBC News contacted Health Canada about the matter. In an email, it says that due to the healthcare system's pressures, many rely on third parties to make and supply these drugs. It adds that Health Canada is exploring a regulatory framework to oversee outsourcing arrangements. So here's something else. More doses means more money. So who's pocketing that extra cash? Is it doctors, pharmacies, distributors, government? We simply don't know.
There's obvious commercial advantages. I mean, you're taking one product and creating 4 or 5 doses out of that one product.
The Newfoundland Pharmacy Board says, well, that's coming from Ontario, it's not our wheelhouse. They have full inspection powers. They could have done that, they could have seen the invoicing. They didn't really they didn't want to look, it appears to be, as to what was the background. Why was this happening?
The large-scale contract was ultimately called off. But Dix believes dose-split drugs are still flowing into Newfoundland. Provincial officials denied our interview requests. It seems the defunct plan was so secret that to this day, nobody is keen to talk about it. We've gone to the Premier, we've gone to the Minister provincially, we've gone to the Newfoundland and Labrador Pharmacy Board. All of them have said, nothing to see here, folks.
I told everybody I could, which is my obligation. I guess hoping that somebody would tidy this up for us, but that never happened.
It said everybody went to ground.
Everyone went to ground. Emails weren't answered, phone calls weren't returned.
Meanwhile, the distribution pattern Dix and Morgan have uncovered could be a blueprint for other provinces.
It's not just a Newfoundland issue. This is a national issue. It's one that we understand has tentacles all the way across Canada.
And that's why for Dix it all comes back to patient safety for all Canadians.
I've been at this 32 years, and I've gone to work every day trying to do what's in the best interest of my patients. Once you know, you can't unknow, and then your obligation is what do you do with it?
Marguerite McCarthy, who used to get Eylea injections, is left with a lot of questions.
Makes me very angry. Makes me very angry, very upset. If it's from the hospital, if it's from some pharmacy outside, I have no idea. We're not told any of those things. Well, I don't really ask, but I'm going to start asking a lot more questions now.
And Chris O'Neill Yates is in our newsroom. So Chris, what else can you tell us about what Bayer is saying about this dose splitting?
So the makers of Eylea, Bayer, we learned have filed a lawsuit against another company, a pharmacy in Ontario, for $15 million for dose splitting. And we brought this matter about dose splitting in general to the attention of Health Canada, who said they were aware of these third-party arrangements and are working on a regulatory framework on the issue.
Thanks so much, Chris.
I mean, I've always been a huge fan of the show.
From the Alex Trebek stage at Universal Studios, this is Labrador's John Groves on Jeopardy! My conversation with the game show competitor just ahead. Well, the category, Jeopardy contestants from Newfoundland and Labrador. The answer, this man, originally from Forteau, Labrador, will compete on Jeopardy tonight. Who is John Groves? To find out more, we reached John in Hamilton, Ontario, where he lives now, and I started by asking him how long he's wanted to be a Jeopardy contestant.
Quite a while. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of the show. I've been a big fan of trivia competitions and things generally. I've been watching it for years. I've been taking the test to try to get on the show sort of sporadically for a number of years. So it's I'm happy that it's finally happened.
Yeah, can you tell us a bit about the process? How do you actually get on the show?
So you can register to take a test online. It used to be that they would hold the test certain days of the year. Now you can just register to take it anytime, but I think you can just take it once a year. So I had, over the years, taken this test maybe 5 or 6 times. It's a test where they ask you 50 questions, basically, and then at the end they don't tell you how you've done. They just say, thanks for taking the test, and you go, maybe I did pretty good this time. And then you hope to hear something. And I hadn't heard anything from them the previous bunch of times I had taken it. This time around, somebody from Jeopardy did get in touch with me. It's sort of this multi-step process. So I took the test, then they invited me to this Zoom audition, which was basically a second test. This time they have a camera on you the whole time, sort of like what we're doing. And they make sure you're not, I guess you don't have people feeding you answers, you're not Googling things. And then you hope to hear from them again after that, which I did. I got invited to a further Zoom audition. This time it was more about show practice. We played a mock game or half a game or so, myself and other potential contestants. And they asked me the sorts of questions you might ask on the show, these anecdote type of things. And then they said, okay, congratulations, you're in the contestant pool. You may hear from us sometime in the next year and a half. And so this was last June or July. And then in February, somebody from Jeopardy called me and said they were inviting me down for a taping.
And what was it like when you walked out onto that stage and looked around and realized that you were on that set and you were about to play?
It's pretty exciting. It kind of, you know, it's so quick. They film an episode in about the time it takes to air an episode. There's not many stops and starts. They, you know, it's almost just, you go through just like you're watching it. So it's an episode goes by pretty quickly. It kind of flew by in a way. I wasn't particularly nervous just because I had sort of prepared myself so much for it. It was definitely exciting.
And I know that you can't talk about how you did before the show airs, but can you tell us at least if you are satisfied with your experience?
Oh, absolutely. It was great. All positives.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself? You're living in Ontario now, but you're originally from Forteau. Can you just give us a sense of who you are?
So I am from Forteau, Labrador. As far as I know, I'm the first Labradorian to be on Jeopardy. One of the few people from the province to be on Jeopardy. So I grew up there. I went to high school there. I went right through school there. I went to university in St. John's. I left the province to go to law school. I moved to Ontario and worked here as a lawyer for a few years. Still in Ontario now.
So John, you haven't been living in Newfoundland and Labrador for a while, but we wanted to test you with our own little Jeopardy category. So are you ready for Newfoundland and Labrador Jeopardy?
Sure.
Okay, so let's play. Here's your first clue. Worth $756 million last year, this species was the most valuable in Newfoundland and Labrador's fishery.
What is crab?
Correct.
Wow.
That's great. This doctor from Britain wrote the Ode to Labrador in 1927.
Who is Dr. Grenfell?
Incorrect. Harry Patton.
Never in a million years would I have known that.
Okay, let's try this next one. These ocean banks are considered one of the foggiest places on the Earth.
What are the Grand Banks?
Correct. Great job. Sadly, we don't have a cash prize for you, but we'd be happy to send you a Here and Now mug. But John Groves, thanks so much for playing, and we're really looking forward to seeing how you do on Jeopardy.
Well, thank you.
Oh, a bit of fun there with him. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right?
Yeah,
and
no.
I know someone who will be watching that show tonight,
Yeah.
John Groves on Jeopardy tonight, because you're a big fan
Every
of
night.
Jeopardy.
Yeah, I watch Jeopardy every single night.
So what is it you love about Jeopardy so much?
I don't know. I try to learn one thing from the show every time and then pride myself on, you know, getting some of the answers right.
Would you ever want to be a contestant?
I'm not that good at that, no.
Can I ask you a
Words
Jeopardy
can't
question?
Oh, boy.
Or
Okay.
what
Yeah,
is it, a
go ahead.
clue? Okay, I wrote it down. This American musician wrote the power ballad 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh, geez. No idea.
Meatloaf. Who is Meatloaf?
Who
I just
is
thought of that
Meatloaf?
because John got 2 out of 3.
Oh,
so
that's funny.
2
That's
out
a
of
good
3
one.
ain't bad.
No idea.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see how he does on the show tonight for sure. WestJet has started parking planes and canceling flights as tomorrow's deadline for a pilot strike looms. The company says talks with its 1,800 pilots are at a critical impasse. So to avoid stranding planes and passengers tomorrow, it's canceled many of today's flights. Pilots are demanding better wages. They earn roughly half of what U.S. pilots are paid, but WestJet says it can't afford more. The labor dispute comes as thousands of Canadians are traveling for the May 24th long weekend. And speaking of May 24, we're heading into the weekend. You're going to look at the long-range forecast starting with Saturday. So how are things going to pan out, do you think?
Well, as Milo says, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. That's pretty much the case this weekend. We're looking at a couple nice days and then one that's not so good. So let's take a look at what's going on. There's your Saturday forecast. That's the nice one. 16, 17 degrees out there for parts of central and eastern Newfoundland, even parts of the north. Lab City, you're going to sit around 17 degrees. Now there is a chance of some showers as we head towards the coast of Labrador, southeastern portions anyway, as well as the northern peninsula. But again, onshore temperatures will be a tad cooler, and it's also going to be fairly breezy through the day. Those winds gusting still between 50 and some areas seeing about 60 kilometers per hour. So Saturday evening, this is when things are going to start to get a bit unsettled, especially up across Labrador. The showers will spread right across as we head into Sunday. In behind that, some cooler temperatures, which means we're going to change back over to snow for Lab West as we end the, well, we get into Monday anyway, and those showers are going to work their way from the western portion of the island further east. But the first half of Sunday looking nice for the most part, still looking at those temperatures in the teens, 16 to 17 degrees through the day, and there's that cooler temperature, the cooler temperatures I was talking about in Lab City as we hover around the 3-degree mark, and again that snow moving in late day. Otherwise, again, in onshore flow, temperatures will be cooler, but pretty much not a bad weekend, not a bad long weekend, but as we head into Monday, that's when we should see those showers more numerous for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. And temperatures still staying quite mild, though. We should hover around 15 degrees by Tuesday, down to the single digits with some cloudy skies, it looks like, but overall, not a bad long weekend. For central Newfoundland, you'll see your showers on Sunday. By Monday, we should just see some cloudy periods. And again, look at your daytime highs, 15 to 17 degrees. And then for western Newfoundland, same thing, but overnight lows will start to cool down as we head into the beginning of next week. For eastern Labrador, cool down on Monday. By Tuesday, right back up into the teens. Similar forecast for those of you in Lab West. However, you are looking at some showers for your Tuesday. Lovely day this one was. Last weekend, I believe, the calm after the rain in Comfort Cove. Lindsay shared this shot with us, and if you have any that you would like to share with us, best place to send them would be nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, that's a great shot. And you weren't kidding, too. I was looking at all of the forecasts for every part of the province, and 2 out of 3 of the days, sunny, one day, rainy. I'm going to have that song in my head for the rest of the night.
Now I got to go look it up.
Yeah. That's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good night.